do this. There we go. Yeah, it's 6 and people kind of trickle in as usual. So we'll Stephanie is here too. Wow. So it's like some of the regulars for you, Anthony.
Yeah. It's good to see the old gang again.
Would it be less distracting for you guys if I turned off my video?
No, I think you can just switch to speaker view, then whoever is speaking will become the big Hey Stephanie.
Hi,
Hey.
Stephanie.
Hi Beth.
Hey,
Hello.
Hi.
Hi everyone. Yeah, it's 6 and I'm not quite sure how many more people are gonna show up, but I'll keep watching this. But those of you who come along, well, welcome to, this is the New York Women Composers, one of our Tutti sessions. And Anthony has agreed to talk about saxophone tonight, and you'll find he's a wonderful player and composer and person. And he'll present information about saxophone, and his group Cobalt Quartet is one of the seed money grantees at New York Women Composers this time, so that he'll have a call up at some point in the next year or so. So anyway, so Anthony, why don't I turn this over to you, and I will admit people as they come in, and in the chat I'll ask Sarah and Beth, and I think Stephanie has already acknowledged that, and Tom did, that you got some links and scores from Anthony. So I will post them. I have it open. I'll post them in the chat in case you can't find it right away.
Awesome.
Okay, so Sarah, you're new for me here, and probably maybe everybody knows you, but I don't know if you want to introduce yourself just so Anthony has an idea of who's here.
Sure. Hi. Nobody knows me.
Oh.
Most likely I reached out to the New York Woman Composers because I'm a New York City based musician, songwriter, performing artist, and I'm really interested in honing my craft as a composer these days and broadening my abilities to arrange for other instruments. And I had recently, it's awesome that this event was saxophone related, because my most recent project was a song that I wrote and arranged, and we brought in sax. It was my first time ever arranging and recording saxophone, and it was such a beautiful experience. So I was really excited to hear that this event was happening. So I'm here for the first time, exploratory. I'd love to become a member.
Great.
And
Awesome.
it's great to meet all of you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And Beth, I see your iPhone. I don't know if you can talk, or maybe you're driving or something. If you want to introduce yourself. Maybe she's okay. And I don't know, Tom and Stephanie and Bob, I guess if you just want to say hi or something and say your interest here, and we'll get Anthony started.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, Tom.
Hi, guys.
Oh, nobody wants to say anything.
Oh.
Stephanie, do you want to at least say you're a composer? So
yeah, I'm a composer and a bassist. And I have enjoyed immensely composing for saxophone. And it was thrilling to have the Cobalt Quartet play one of my pieces. So anyway, I'm looking forward to this. Looking forward to getting better at it.
Good.
okay, great. So Anthony, why don't we turn this over to you?
Sure. So hello, everybody. I'm Anthony Izzo, the alto saxophonist in the Cobalt Quartet. That will be, as Anne has said before, playing in the future for you guys. And very excited to do so. So I guess the first thing I'll start with is you can answer, you can ask any questions you would like during the presentation. I don't care if you interrupt me to ask a question. That's fine with me. We don't have to wait till the end, especially since it's like, you know, a small number, it's fine. But I'm going to start with, in the chat, I'm going to post a PDF of the saxophone written range and sounding range on the piano for each one. That's a good place to start, I think. The standard saxophone quartet is soprano, alto, tenor, and baritone, not bass. And if you open up your saxophone ranges, or I can probably just share my screen since we're going to be seeing it in the future for people who aren't here. I'll do that instead. Let's see. Okay, share up. Okay. I haven't used this in a while. Let me stop sharing. Sorry about that. Let me try this one more time. Here we go. Okay. Can everyone see my screen? Okay, I'll try to make it a little bigger for everybody too.
Yes, I can see it.
Yes.
Is this too small? Okay. So then all saxophones, doesn't matter which ones, they all read in treble clef. Even if they're a very low sounding instrument, they all read in treble clef. Written range for all saxophones is B flat below the staff, below middle C, all the way up to at least an octave above that high F. Standard textbooks will say the high F you're looking at right there, and maybe an F sharp, but we can go higher in our altissimo range. Baritone is the only one that has a low A. Not all baritones have a low A, but some of them do. It's fairly common. So baritone's the only one that can do low A. That's not an extended technique to get low A out on an alto or something else. And I'll show you that later. Soprano is in B flat, and it reads a major second above sounding pitch, just like a clarinet would or a trumpet. Alto sax is in E flat, major sixth, sounds a major sixth lower than written. So same written range again, but then it starts from D flat, a major seventh below middle C. Tenor sax is also in B flat, but it's an octave lower than soprano. And baritone is low, an octave lower than alto. So I think the lowest note is what, C2 on the piano? Am I getting that right? The second lowest C. Again, if there's a low A extension, that's your lowest note. Otherwise, the D flat 2, I guess. So that's in the chat. You can refer to it whenever you want to. I hope it's clear. And I'll demonstrate some of that in just a bit. Any questions before we move on? All right. Okay. So dynamics, we can play any dynamic range you want. Piano, forte, everything in between, everything extreme, whatever you want. Niente, we can diminish into niente. But it is very hard to play quietly in the low register because it's a conical instrument, so it starts off thin on top and gets wider on the bottom. So it's the equivalent of taking your hands, cupping your mouth and trying to whisper and see how quiet you can be. So if you're going to write, it is possible to play quietly down there. It's just really hard. So if you do it, don't do it for too long. And just maybe it's hard to play quietly in all the extremes of the registers. Very high and very low is very hard to play quietly, but we'll do our best. And it's still possible, just again, very hard. All right. So I'm going to demonstrate the range. I brought my alto I have here with me. I also have a soprano, in case you want to hear the differences. So I'm going to play, I'm most comfortable in alto, so I'm going to play from low B flat to high G. So it's the F I showed you, but a major ninth higher. So I can usually get there on a good day with a very good read, and I think I found a good read for that. So let's see. Hopefully also Zoom supports that sound and doesn't drop out. So if it does drop out, let me know, because everything else I'm going to demonstrate is now pointless. All right.
Anthony, I think we're losing you here.
Ah, okay. Everything is
That's
now muteless. All right.
Um,
So
If you turn original sound for musicians on, that should fix it.
it has been on. We were experimenting.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
we did like the beta thing, which was like supposed to be for like a live something or whatever, and I guess that's not working.
Yeah, it could be the microphone on his computer.
Yeah, let me see if that's okay. Oh yeah, it moved it down because it's too loud. Let me move this back and see if that changes anything. All right, try number 2, attempt 2. Good so far?
A little better, not much.
Okay.
Um,
All right. Well, I can do it. I don't know if we were in a live setting and together in a room, that would be much easier. But alas, oh well. Okay. The good thing is that everything I was going to demonstrate, I did send links and recordings to. So you have all the pieces I was going to demonstrate and then some. You have the scores and the recording. Usually it's in the same video. So if you click the link, the screen will come on, the score will come on, and you can hear it as the musicians play along. So you can see and hear what I mean, especially in some of the quartets that I sent out. So, all right, I'll have to use only my voice and you'll have to believe everything I say. All right. So again, dynamics, any spectrum of dynamics you want, we can do it. There's stereotype like saxophone can always play loud. Yes, we can, but we can especially play quiet because classical saxophonists like to do that. Articulations. When you write articulations, slurs are necessary, especially when you're playing very quickly. So when you have, maybe I can even hold up something I was going to play. Yeah. This is from a piece called Tableaux de Provence by Paule Maurice for saxophone and orchestra originally. And the final movement is about a bumblebee, so it's all very fast, kind of like Flight of the Bumblebee, but more updated and a lot more interesting because it's not always played. So she writes out all the slurs, and that's going to indicate tonguing for us. So we don't really tongue under slurs. The idea is to make it connected. So she writes out, this is actually a very good example of when you're writing 1/16 notes, how to slur over it and write the articulations. It's very, very helpful in this version. So she even has in the bottom, see, this is a mirror image for me. So in the very bottom, there's parts in the 16th notes that are not slurred, and we can do that. We can tongue each and articulate each 16th note, but that's actually going to be in short bursts. That's okay. If your entire piece is like that, I'm probably going to add my own slurs in to make it a lot easier for me, because your tongue's a muscle. It's going to get tired after 3 seconds of, so it's going to make it annoying. Again, in this piece, this is the Bagatellen by Erwin Dressel. This is also the last movement. It's not that fast, so I can tongue all these 8th notes. That's not a big deal. And there are bursts of 16th notes that, again, because they're short, I can, and for short periods of time, just using my tongue, it is possible to play that, again, in short bursts. I guess what I'll do then is since I can't demonstrate it for you, I'll play the recording for you, and maybe that'll help somewhat. Okay. I'll again try to share my screen
What if you could do SEO
after the
smarter
advertising
and
plays.
faster? With Wix, you can edit your meta tag.
Okay. And
This is the Maurice, right?
yes. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Why did you go there? Okay. And let me share my screen. Okay. This is the only one, unfortunately, that doesn't have the score with it. Most of them do, I promise, just not this one. Let's see. Okay. So here's Maurice. All right, so does that make sense so far? Like, you can, I think you can hear a little bit the articulation, those little bursts of tonguing every 16th note, but ideally most of it was slurred, especially in rapid passages like that. Okay, so now I think we can probably skip Dressel. I think you get the idea as far as tonguing goes, but there is something else I want to show you as well in the Sonata in C sharp by Fernande Decruck, another French composer. Let's see. I lied. There's a couple of them that don't have the scores. Most of them do. All right, but this is from the fourth movement. Let's see if they have a, nope, okay. So he's going to be tonguing, show you first the score, and then I'll just share the screen again. So on the very bottom, we have 16th note sextuplets, and you're starting from here, and the pattern is ta 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 ha. So I don't know what the equivalent would be on viola, because it's also written for viola and saxophone. It's like a strange, she wasn't sure which one to write it for, so she wrote it for both, the solo part. And so it's a cool effect of this tonguing pattern. All right. I'm a teacher, so I used to be good at Zoom, and now I haven't used it in a long time, so I'm really bad at it now. Okay. Let's see if this is the part. Oh, here it is. It's a little nice, just interesting tonguing pattern, and it sounds fun. It's cool. It's, tonguing, writing out tonguing patterns in saxophone is a lot of fun. It just makes cool effects, and we can accent it and create different accents and bursts of sound throughout the texture, if that's something you're looking to do as well. Okay. So now go back to this. Okay, yeah. The last thing about articulation I'm going to say is that, we can do everything, staccatos, slurs, accents, anything you want. But the only thing I ask you not to do is to write staccatos and then slur on top of the staccatos. That's a string articulation. That's like I think it's hooked bowing. It's like an oxymoron for us. It's like you're telling us to play short but also long at the same time. And although we can try to find somewhere in the middle. It's kind of annoying and kind of strange. Just try to stay away from things like that. If you want some sort of a space, there's probably easier ways to write it than just staccato and slur. All right. Articulation trills. Okay, so trills. Well, any questions on articulations before we go on? Okay, so trills. Trills and tremolos, we can do pretty much whatever you want. They all pretty much work. We can do bisbiondo, which I think is that timbre trill, where you microtonal trill to a different quarter tone higher or lower. We can do stuff like that. We can do any sort of trill you want. And tremolo between, I would say, don't go to an octave. Anything from like a half step to like a seventh would work-ish, depending on what you're writing for. But the low register is the only area that doesn't really provide good trills. So for low B flat, for example, all of our fingers are down. And if I want to go to a C, that's okay. All I do is B flat to C is fine. All I do is this, or B to C is fine. But B flat to C sharp does not work for us unless you want a janky kind of sound like that. Same thing, B to C sharp also doesn't work. And A sharp and B does not work either. Those are very difficult and will just sound like blah, 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 blah. Like it won't be a nice ending trill. Again, unless you're going for something like that for some sort of effect, go for it. But otherwise, that's if you're looking for a nice trill, that's not going to be your area. All right, now leaps. Leaps, saxophone can leap. It's easier to leap up than it is going down, but you can write whatever you want as far as that goes. So one example I can show you for that, where is it? Oh, here, okay. This is Persichetti has a solo saxophone piece called Parable 11, part of his Parable series. And right here is a leap down from high A all the way to low B. And that's perfectly easy. It works very well. As that's not hard to play. It's actually quite easy. I don't know why it is, but it is. So right leaps, don't do consecutive octave leaps. Those are actually very annoying in the saxophone. I guess if you have us tongue it or slur it occasionally, that's fine. Just again, no octaves. Octaves going up and down is really annoying. In fact, for a friend's wedding, my quartet had to play a Boccherini piece. I forget the name of it. It's da 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 da. And the second violin part, which is I was playing, goes dee da 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 da. And it's easy on the violin to just do this, but for me it was like and I had to like make weird adjustments. I made it to sound okay, but very annoying. So just please don't do that. Okay, so that's as far as all the basics that I think I've covered. Any questions so far before I go to like extended technique kind of things? All right. First thing is vibrato. So vibrato we can do very easily. We just use our mouth. We go wah 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 wah. We can use any speed of vibrato you want. Also, again, Persichetti, he plays with this a little bit. He has the player going from a wide vibrato increasingly to a faster vibrato and narrower vibrato. And he likes to use the I guess almost like a sound wave, the bigger waves going into the smaller waves, which is pretty idiomatic for vibrato writing that I've seen. So we can do, usually for naturally I'll just do it, especially on lyrical pieces, lyrical sections of pieces. I'll do it to create a warmer sound. usually sometimes I played a piece that said no vibrato specifically, so making like a more colder effect, more placid effect, if you will. So you can play the idea of, you know, speeding the vibrato up or having no vibrato at all. Persichetti is a great example for a lot of these things. Glissando, we have 3 different types of glissando. The first one would be opening and closing a key very slowly to create the desired effect. Usually that's going to be within notes that are pretty close to each other, usually. We also have another kind of key glissando where we just move our fingers rapidly up or down between notes. And the last one is the coolest one, and I'm going to show you that right now. It's glissando like on a string instrument, dragging your finger across the strings. It can go up that's almost that smoothly using our throat. So I'm going to show you that in the Persichetti piece, which you put in the chat so gracefully. Thank you. Okay, 1 second here. Okay. Advertisement. Okay, and let me share screen again. Okay. So I'm gonna go through each of the different parts that I would have demonstrated to show you each of the key and the different types of glissandi that we can do. Okay. Here it comes. So he put bend tone, but that's the same idea, closing the key very slowly, get that desired glissando effect. The next one over here is going to be our finger glissando, moving rapidly down between the notes. Okay, and the last glissando, the coolest one, I purposely chose this recording because the player actually does it. Not all players do. And this was so much easier on my iPad if I could just do it. Okay. Okay, here it is, here it is. Right. I hope that came out clear. Were you able to hear that? Yeah, it's really cool. That all of them can do that. All the saxophones, as far as I know, can do that. But that effect only works in the higher register. From like maybe about G above the staff right here, higher, we can achieve that effect. Anything lower has to be with keys and fingers, because the way the harmonic series works on the instruments, they're closer together up top, so it's easier to slide between using your throat.
How do you do that with your throat? I mean, is it?
It's a combination. I have to move my fingers a little bit, but then with my throat, it's kind of like opening it and then like if you can see my Adam's apple, I literally just move it up or move it down, but going up is a lot easier. So yeah, I actually once played a saxophone orchestra arrangement of Rhapsody in Blue for piano and saxophones, and I got the clarinet part in the beginning. I played it on soprano. I did the glass, and it was really cool. And again, I wish I could show you. Zoom. Okay. So next thing I wanted to show you, slap tongue. That's actually something I can't do. I'm still working on it. So if you want to write it, the other 3 players in the quartet, they can all do slap tongue really well. I cannot. So don't write anything slap tongue for alto because I can't do it yet. It's been taking me forever. I don't know why. But just just don't write it for me. But it looks like a plus sign over the note. And I think I have something in there for us to look at. Persichetti doesn't do that in his piece. But this other piece by Edison Denisov, his sonata does that. I'm not as familiar with the sonata, so I don't want to spend all my time looking for the slap tongue, but I know it's in there somewhere. I remember hearing it in the piece. But yeah, I'll have to find it another time. I can't look for it now. But it's definitely in that piece. That's a cool piece. The Denisov sonata is full of glissandi and slap tongue and very tricky, and actually has a lot of what's it called? Not harmonics. Has a lot of multiphonics. That's the word I'm looking for, which I'll get to later. All right. So flutter tongue is something else we can do. That's usually if you have a note and then you have the 3 slashes through that, the stem of the note indicating, rapid 30-second notes. We can do flutter tongue. It takes a lot of air. So for me, I have to like hum to do it because I tried doing like a from the back of my throat and it induces a gag reflex I discovered last May. So I'm not going to do that anymore. So I have to hum to do it. But because I'm using extra air to hum, it's going to last not a very long time. So make it very short or divide it up between the different players to achieve flutter tongue if you'd like to do that as well. Harmonics, those are more interesting on string instruments. We use those as like an exercise to achieve higher notes. So we would just rather just play the note you're looking for. So it's same thing, you just write the note you want and then I guess the circle over it, or you can write it in a small type font, the actual pitch you're looking for that we can achieve. Xenakis actually does it in the very, very end of his quartet. Xenakis has, I was telling Tom earlier before, my quartet calls the big 4. There's these 4 insanely difficult pieces that if you can play them as a quartet, then respect goes out to you. So Xenakis is one of those pieces. It's very intense, very high, crazy. It's just insanity. So I'm going to show you actually 2 excerpts from that. I'll show you the harmonics, but I'll also show you the altissimo because I didn't get to show you that before. So I'll work my way around. So Xenakis, his piece is Zas, which is sax backwards. And while Yo-Yo Ma tells me about what he's doing, I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So here is the end of the piece. It's all handwritten, but you can see he put a tiny little circle and he indicated which partial he was looking for. I believe that's what that is. So I'll play that bit here. creates some sort of a whistly effect. I've only heard that in this piece. I haven't heard anything else use harmonics like that. But again, I think it's easier just to play the actual pitch that you want, unless you're looking for some sort of whistly sound like that. So I'm going to go back in the beginning of this piece because he uses some of the vibrato over here, and he uses extreme altissimo range. So I'm going to play the very beginning for you, so you can hear that range, and everybody's up there. It's a wild effect. Okay. Oh, okay. So it's wild. That's the Xenakis piece is an example of something not to do for the concert we're going to put on, because of the amount of time that would take to play that and learn that. We looked at the first page and maybe second page, and we haven't played it since yet. One day we'll get back to it, but it's so hard. So if you want to write something like that and have us play it as a long-term project on your own, we would be more than happy to work with you on that. But for the purposes of what we're doing for you guys would make sense. We have limited time to learn it, and it wouldn't be good. So that's an extreme example of something saxophones can do. But again, if you want to do a long-term project with us on that, great. For this term, short term, stay away from that.
May I ask a question about the notation of that?
Yes.
Can you share it again?
Sure.
Who's on the second page? It looked, because this is handwritten. When he does the vertical lines in between all the players, is that because is he indicating I want you to definitely play this all exactly at the same time?
Vertical lines like these bracket things?
Not the bracket things, these let me just see here.
Oh, through the staff, like it's going.
Yeah. I mean, is that his way of saying make sure you play this 8 notes like all exactly together?
Yeah, I think from just looking at it real quick, I think it's like a shorthand he did for himself. Like these are all 30-second notes. Everyone's playing at the same time. I'm just gonna write the notes and then just connect it in the middle, kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not even sure how you would do that in finale or something like that, but it's I mean, it's effective to show when you want to that it isn't just like get from this note to this note.
Oh yeah.
But I want you to do it exactly everybody playing exactly, which is even hard to see for me, but it's a
oh my god, the parts are a nightmare. In the parts though, they're all written out as 30-second notes. It's just here I think he was doing like a shorthand thing to save time.
okay.
But he does have in this piece an aleatoric section that comes by, and it's just everyone plays notes, play these notes, and somehow get here at the same time. That's about where we left off, and we just haven't played it. So interesting piece, weird guy, but we can do it. It's very possible, just very, very difficult again. All right, let's see, going back. Low A, yes. Okay, so low A, like I said before, baritone can play low A. Most of them can. They have a key to actually physically do it. The way we would do it, especially on alto, is I would have to play this, and then as I'm playing, I have to kind of sit down. I would put my bell towards my knee to make it go to a low A. So it's kind of more of like a party trick, but I can actually, I didn't put it on there. There is a piece I played for solo saxophone that does that in the beginning. So I'll see if I can quickly find that and then show that to you. It's like, can't demonstrate it. And I'll throw this one in the chat because I didn't send it in the email, because the composer is still alive and I know him, so I wasn't sure if he wanted me to use it without his permission. So I just stayed away from showing his score, but I can happily play the video of me doing a low A on alto. Share screen. Okay. So it's a neat little trick. And I think tenor would have to do it, soprano would have to do that. Everyone has to do that except Barry. They are the lucky ones. We don't have to do that. Key clicks, I think I can try to demonstrate that because they're not too loud. I don't think Zoom will cut that out. Key clicks I've seen as like X notations. So we'll finger the note you want us to click, but as an X, I would understand that to be key clicks or some sort of triangle head or something, whatever notation you want to use kind of for that. But you have two clicks actually. You have the one where I have to close my fingers and the one I have to open. Is it, oh yeah, I can't do this in the air. So I'll do closing, open. Open's a lot quieter, but we can force the keys down to achieve the desired effect. The lower you go, the more resonant it will be, and that goes not just for the instrument itself, but the entire quartet. So baritone will have the loudest key clicks. Soprano, I can even show you, will have the quietest because it's the smallest. So I'm using the same amount of force between my fingers as I did on my alto. My alto is louder just because it's bigger. So we can do key clicks. We can blow air through the instrument and do key clicks. Let me see if Zoom will allow me to do that.
Maybe can you stand for that one? Because I think
Sure.
that should pick up.
It's a very quiet effect to begin with. I don't know if you can kind of hear it.
Yeah, Zoom's not behaving today.
No, I guess not. But even if you do that, changing pitch is only works going down. Going up, you kind of can't hear it anymore. Okay. So key clicks are cool. Or just blowing air through the instrument as like just a air sound even without the key clicks. That's possible too. In fact, I think we played a piece by Jin He that involved blowing air through the instrument as well, and getting crescendoing and decrescendoing that air to create some sort of like a wind effect, a breeze effect. So the next thing on my list is microtones. We can do pretty much anything from E, low E on the staff, bottom line of the staff, up. Anything lower than that, not really, because all the fingers are down. There's only one position to play low B flat. There's only so much I can do with, I'm using all of my fingers. I can't change anything. The only thing I could do with that low A that I showed you before, there's no way to really adjust these low notes, but from here on higher, I can make it sharper. I can make it a little flatter. From low E all the way up, can pretty much do anything you would like. That solo piece that I was playing earlier has the entire thing is microtones, but those are in runs, not just holding out microtones. So that's that piece took me 2 years to learn because it was just so hard learning all these new fingerings and playing them rapidly and remembering each one. It was, if the piece was written the way it was and it was all normal notation, it would have taken me maybe 6 months. But to have microtones and runs like that is very hard. So maybe again, if you want to do something like that, long term is great. Short term, shy away from that. If you want to hold out microtones, great. In fact, the second movement of the Denisov piece is all solo saxophone, and it's all microtones and multiphonics. So multiphonics are weird. So I'll play them. I'll play it so you can hear it all at the same time. But as far as multiphonics goes, they're weird because we can do them, but everyone's instrument is different. So if I play this alto, some fingerings that I know will work. If I play a different alto, those same fingerings will not work. It's all very different from each instrument. So in the email I sent out, there are 2 microtone books. There is the Weiss-Netty book, which is a link, I believe. And the other one is attached. It's an attachment. That is the, so I got that wrong. It should have been an attachment anyway. Oh, no. The attachment didn't fit. That's what it was. Okay, so the link in the description, the link in the email, a book written by Ron Caravan, those multiphonics work well for me. I've had a lot of luck with those. But in the chat now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send that to you, that Weiss-Netty book, for reference. That's what the piece that I was showing you that I played. The composer used that book. So a lot of them actually didn't work for me. He had the fingerings notated and the reference of where to find it in the book, and it just didn't work. So I had to find similar fingerings that achieve the same pitch that he was looking for. So I'll send that to you right now.
Anthony?
Yes.
Another question. In the, not the multiphonics, in the microtones, is it always done with fingerings and never with the embouchure?
Yeah, it's better with fingerings. We can with embouchure, I guess, if I had to, like it wasn't going flat enough or sharp enough, I would do that. But I generally like to keep our embouchure ideal for making the notes sound and being comfortable. So we try not to mess around with that as much. Oh yeah, one other thing I will say is there's one exception. I said everything from low E on the staff all the way high is possible. The one exception to that is G, a minor third above it, so second, or either G actually, it doesn't matter which one. It's very awkward to make microtonal. I have to like half hole some stuff to make that work. So G is the only one to stay away from microtones. If you do it, I'll work again. If you're holding it out, it's not a big deal. I'll do the necessary things, but it's kind of an awkward note to make quarter tone sharp or flat or anything like that. So don't write too many of them, I guess. So I now will show you the second movement of that Edison Denisov piece because it has all the microtones and multiphonics. They provide a link, of course. Oh, yes, here we go. Okay. Share my screen. Okay, so here he wrote it out. And he has a little indication on top of what each one means, which is also, that's what I've seen all the time. I think at this point it's fairly standard to have like the backwards flat for quarter flat or the, you know, half of the sharp for quarter sharp or whatever. So and that's pretty standard at this point. But here is the second move. Okay. Is the saxophone playing a triad? Let me see. When I have you guys, it blocks part of the screen. In the multiphonics. Let's see. The second multiphonic is F sharp to G, so a minor ninth. And then the first one, there it goes. First one was A sharp, B, and F sharp. So major 7 with a fifth. There's another one that's E, F, and B, so they're more spread out, less triads, more spread out kind of sounds. If that answers your question. I also forgot to mention we can sing and play at the same time. That creates like a warbly, girly effect. Again, that's just like flutter tongue in that it takes a lot of air to do. So that thing is really easy to do on flute. I saw a piece once. I think I had to play a piece that was originally a flute piece, and the composer wanted the other saxophonist Sonata to sing and play, but it wasn't the same effect as it was on flute. And it's flute, it sounded great. It was easy. I tried it on my own flute. It was like, I'm not a flutist, and I can still do it. It's awesome. But on saxophone, it's not the same kind of desired effect. It's more growly and dissonant and warbly. But if that's what you want, that's fine. Let's see. Okay. We can also do, the last thing I have written down is that we can do teeth on the reed, and that just creates a very screechy sound. It doesn't feel comfortable, so if you're gonna do it, maybe just do it once. It's like it goes higher than like any altissimo note. It's just like, it may as well be a dog whistle. It's so high pitched, but you can do it. I never played a piece with that. I just know it as a parlor trick, but if you want to create your own notation and write that, go for it. That's cool. That's about all the extended techniques I have. So that I can think of, are there any other questions? I was hoping to demonstrate things for you, and if you guys wanted to ask me to demonstrate something, but again, Zoom, if you're ever mad about Zoom today.
How about Sarah? Since you're kind of new with the group, I mean, did you learn things, or is there anything helpful for you here, or do you have questions?
This was fantastic. Anthony, thank you so much. And
Welcome.
thank you to the whole organization for doing this. It was beyond helpful. I took so many notes on all of the different textures and like things that the saxophone can do that I had no idea. The highlight being glissando. I had no idea that the saxophone could do that.
Yeah.
And my instrument's the piano. So I can't really do that like a violin. I love that effect.
Right.
So I just love that the saxophone can do that I found that out today. So I thought that this was super inspiring and super just practical. I love the way you laid everything out and just gave everybody a lot of information that we can take and run with.
I'm glad that helped.
Fantastic.
I see Jenny came in too. Jenny, did you have any? We didn't get to introduce you earlier, but are you there? It says she's at.
Yes, I'm here. Hi.
Mhm.
Hello, everybody. I'm sorry. I'm in Korea still.
Oh.
So it's early in the morning. So, probably not showing my face is better.
Okay.
But I'm so glad to see you, everyone here. Miss you a lot.
See you soon.
Actually, in my case of a saxophone piece, practically I've done, several pieces before. And actually last year I met Anthony personally and asked some, I had a large ensemble piece, including saxophone part. So we discussed about, my piece, and, Anthony gave gave me a lot of information, and then my piece was successfully performed at school and by Sound Icon New Music Ensemble, which located in Boston. So this, lecture reminds me all the techniques and repertoire, and very helpful for me. And I'm so glad Anthony does this amazingly. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Is Tom, Stephanie, Beth, Bob, anybody else wanna?
Oh, I just want to say thank you, Anthony. It was really well put together, very thorough. I took lots of notes.
Oh, yes.
So, that it'll make me more confident writing for saxophone in the future.
Good.
I actually did just think of one more question, if I may.
Yeah.
I was wondering, I'm also a singer, and when I had arranged sax for the first and only time, I was arranging it with vocals. And I was wondering if you had any just general advice for arranging sax into music that has strong vocal melodies and lyrics and a vocal performance, and if that makes sense.
Yeah. And we say vocals, you mean like one or two singers, or like a choir?
One or two.
Okay. I think if you write, so I'm gonna have you check out a piece. In fact, if you send me your email, I'll just send you the piece.
Sure.
Lori Laitman has a wonderful piece called I Never Saw Another Butterfly, which is six poems written by children who were killed in the Holocaust. And it's just set for solo soprano and alto saxophone. That's it, just a duet. So that's I think a beautiful example of what she does to duet with a voice. And there's also a piece, I'll also try to find this one for you, by Joaquin Nan, which is for, I think, mezzo soprano, alto saxophone, and piano. If you're interested in that one as well. Those are all the pieces I can think of offhand before they get like in the super obscure saxophone repertoire. Yeah, absolutely, Jenny. I'll include you in the email. In fact, let me write that down. I'll send it to Anne, and she can send it to everybody.
Oh, okay, I'll do that.
And Sarah, are you on the email that Anne sent out?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I'll send that out to you.
I just sent you my email as well.
Gotcha. Okay, so I'll send those pieces out to everybody anyway.
It might be blind emails, so yeah, if you send it to me, I can forward it to everybody.
Sure, I'll do that as well.
Send out like to 20 people.
So yeah, I guess for practical examples now that I can say is, I guess saxophone can get, I guess, too overpowering from this singer. So I know, having played that piece a couple of times, that butterfly piece, I had to kind of bring it down, even though it's at forte. We're both forte. I had to play more mezzo forte than she did, because I'm a loud instrument. It's just the nature of the instrument. So I guess, yeah, make sure dynamically we're quieter. Other than that, I guess have fun. But speaking of choir, though, I was going to say that for saxophone quartet, treat us like a choir or a string quartet, but just make sure we can breathe. So, because I say that because Glazunov, his quartet, beautiful quartet, it's written just like a string quartet. It works very well for saxophones. The one problem with it is that there's zero places to breathe. So I'm constantly figuring out, like, oh, I can shorten this note and breathe here, or I can just skip those two notes and keep going, because it's just nowhere to breathe. But it's a beautiful piece and a really good example of saxophone quartet writing in a more traditional lyrical sense. So yeah, those pieces in the email are not just for study, but for enjoyment, to introduce people to classical saxophone music. That is all original. There's no transcriptions on there of Bach works or anything like that. These are all original pieces. So I hope you guys have fun with them.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hey, Beth, Beth, I see you're on an iPhone. Maybe you're driving or whatever. I don't know if you had any questions or. Okay, I guess I'm not sure. I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot. So Bob or Tom, do you have any?
No,
Okay.
no questions.
Okay, great. Anthony, this is wonderful. And this was recorded. And once it's up on YouTube in the private link, I'll make sure everybody gets the link and you can check things out again. Anthony, are you open to getting emails from the group?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay.
I'll put my email in the chat, but I'll also say it out loud so people can hear it for future reference. Although I think you probably have it in the email anyway, but
Mhm.
why not? Here you go.
Go in there.
So it's Anthony Izzo 7@gmail.com. IZZO ANTHONY IZZO the number 7 @gmail. Yeah, if you have any questions or you want to send me a sample score or something like that, send it on by.
Okay, thank you.
I love this stuff, so send it on by.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. And thank you everybody for coming and listening to Anthony. I think I learned a lot from the questions and discussion too. So it was really nice. Okay, thank you so much.
You're
We'll talk to
welcome.
you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony.
You're welcome. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony.